Good evening, Dr. Rosma Malmi and everyone, and I hope you will have a very good day. So, today, as well as starter, I would like to talk about and explain my understandings in SOAP and WSDL5 through the laboratory practice 5 for the web service technology subject. Okay, so before we jump into the next part, where I'm going to explain each and everything about my understandings of SOAP and WSA5, let me introduce myself. My name is Yubashini Viswanathan, and my matrix number is CI 286, and I'm from Section 5 of Web Technology Service subject. So now I'll move on to the next part, which is next slide. So in this slide, and now I'm going to tell you guys that what am I going to do in this video. So first of all, I'm going to pick one web service project that I have done before through any other labs, which have WSGFI and SOAP request and response. And the second thing is, I'm going to explain about what is a WSDL file and what are the things that we need to understand about a WSDL file and what it is describing about. So, a WSDL file is always can be related with a SOAP file because WSDL tells us the elements we should have inside a SOAP and take the SOAP files and map or match the SOAP elements to WSDL elements, and I'm going to explain how it works and how it calls and all the functions that happens in the SOAP and WSDL file. Okay, so now we move on to the next part. So in this part, I will be talking about WSDL files. So before I go to the WSDL files, I would like to tell a few things about what kind of code that I've chose for this lab practice in order for me to explain and discuss my understanding about WSDL and SOAP file. So this code that I'm showing here is a code that I took from my assignment 2 that have been assigned to me like 3 weeks ago, if I'm not wrong. So in this case, it's about creating a calculator, just a simple calculator where we have to insert two float values, and it will return the value. It will return the value that has been performed through the mathematics over here. Web Service Description Language. Okay, WSDL is basically stands for Web Service Description Language. Is a standard specification for describing networked or XML-based services. It provides a simple way to service providers to describe the basic format of requests to their system regardless of the underlying runtime implementation. So, WSDL file allows a service provider to specify the following characteristics of a web services. These are the characteristics that a WSDL file holds. First of all, the name of the web service and the addressing information. It's what the WSDL file holds. And second thing is the protocol and the encoding style to be used when accessing the public operation is of the web service is also implemented in WSDL file. And next, the type information, and it also contains the types of information such as operations, parameters, and data types comprising the interface of the web service. And WSDL documents allows developers to expose their applications as networks accessible services on internet through UDDI and WSIL. Other applications can discover WSDL documents and bind with them to execute transactions or perform other business processes. So, let us move on to the WSDL file for this code. So, let me run. Okay, I'm going to deploy this thing first. So okay, how do we know that this thing is successfully deployed? Is it will show this build successful total time in like this. So first of all, before you run this code, you should check whether you start your glassfish server or not yet. So in my case, I've already started it, and even though if you forgot to start, if you automatically started to deploy the code, it will automatically start by in automation method. So let us go to the code here. So it's successful. So in this case, the NetBeans already set this file. If I test service them, it will directly go to the Safari, but Safari doesn't support what is it called, WSDL file. So let me show you why. What I meant here is, when I'm test web servicing here, it will directly go to the Safari and everything can be visible. But one thing that is not happening here is, when I click the WSDL file, I cannot view any codes because Safari doesn't support the WSDL file. So what I will do is, I'll go back, I'll copy this one, and I'll go to Chrome. Okay, I'll go to Chrome and I paste the link that I copied there, and I put it here, and I will get this page here. So from here only I can access my WSDL file. So I'm accessing the WSDL file. As you can see, okay, this is the WSDL file. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, this WSDL file contains the message part, the port type, where it has the operations name and everything that I mentioned earlier, that I explained earlier. So as you can see here, this is how a WSDL file will look. It contains of your what is it called, message part, your part names, your port types, and everything. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the importance of WSDL file, it contains the name of web service, addressing informations, protocols, encoding style to be used when accessing the public operations of the web service. It also contains the operations, parameters, and data types that we use in the web service project. As you can see here, where is it? Okay, the name of our project is calculator. Source page is calculator, and the operation that we named there was total price. So all the type of parameters will be included in. So here, as you can see, we have two message elements where it has the total price and total price response, where this is the element that will be displayed in the SOAP request and response file. So after we run the code that I showed earlier, so this is what we will get. So this is the operation name that we named as total price, where when we click it, it will direct us to the SOAP request and response file. So now I'm going to put a few numbers, like maybe like 22 and 53. So let me put 22 and 53. So after I click, it directly go here and it will display the total price method invocations, and the title is all about the operation name, and it will name it as method invocation. So it will say the parameters. What are the parameters that we have included in the earlier in input type, we put 22, which is its data type is 22. Its data type is float, and for the value 53, its data type is also float. So the method returned is also float and with its value, where as you can see here, we already put a method here with the operation name total price, and we name the class as times, and we put two parameters. So that's why over here we just get we just get two parameters. Okay, so after we put the two inputted the two parameters, it will take all the parameters and list it down here, and it will show what numbers and what kind of values, what type of values, whether it's string, throw, anything, it will show it here, and it will let us know these are the data types and these are the data values that we have used to run this code. And as for the returns the method, where as you can see here, we returns a multiplied by b. Okay, a is the first parameter, b is the second parameter. So what will happen when the a parameter and b parameter has been multiplied is what will display over this method return. So now we move on to the SOAP request and SOAP response. So the SOAP request and SOAP response part, where for this I will for this project it will send, as I mentioned earlier, the parameter name that will be used in SOAP request and SOAP response are here, which is for the request it used total price, and for the response it used total price response. So the namespaces that has been used here is generated automatically. So the namespaces that has been used here is ns2, where the request element name is total price, and as you can see here, arg0, which is argument 0, which it follows the index value. Argument 0 is 22.0 and argument 1 is 53.0. So this is request, what we requested through the method tester when we input the value, when we're requesting for return method. So the both values will be displayed in the SOAP request part, where it says that we're requesting these two parameters to be displayed in the response part. So now we move on to the response part, and as I mentioned earlier, here the name of the parameter is total price response. So the SOAP request and SOAP response name is already included in the Wsdl file, as where it will be easy for the SOAP request and SOAP response to identify the elements name. So after we done the request and we settle, the value that it will be written in the SOAP response part. As you can see here, the method return float type with the 1166 value will be displayed over here to show what thing will be returned. So return is all about the last value that will be returned to the returned as an output. So as you can see here, the code is just returned a times b, is just about the float, but this one is about this string. So if it float value, we just have to use the float, where here we just have to put the float times and all that data type things. But if we wanted to put in a string type, you need to change the class name to string. So as I changed here, the total value is blah 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 times a times b. So you see here I have this one is where it shows there's a float type. See the difference, the parameters are still float but the method returned is string. So yeah, that's all. Some understandings in web service, which is in WSDL file and SOAP file. I hope I could give my best in this video, and I hope this is whatever I'm saying is right, and if anything is wrong, Dr. please correct me. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity for me to explain everything about SOAP and WSDL. So thank you so much, doctor, and yeah, that's all. Thank you from me.